First, choose your cutters. For each piece, you will need two cutters, a larger one and a smaller one that will leave about 2 to 4 millimeter space all around. Get a sheet of scrap clay on a fairly thin setting on the pasta machine. I used here a 7 on a Makins machine. Cut your shapes for the pieces you want to make. I will be making a pendant and 3 pairs of earrings. I decided to place my rounded corners triangles on a glass bowl to give a bit more dimension. All the other pieces will go on flat baking bases. Do a pre-bake for about 15 minutes. While your bases are baking, let's do the mica shifts. Pass your clay through the machine until you obtain a mica sheen. Flatten it in place on your working tile. You will need a deep texture with well-lined pattern that is not too big. Apply the texture on the clay. Prepare a thin, sharp, flexible blade by wiping it with Armor All. Then start shaving the raised parts of your textured clay. Re-wipe your blade from time to time with Armor All to avoid clay sticking to the blade. Once you are done shaving, it's time to burnish. Use some wax paper for that with the shiny side on the clay. Wax paper is better than regular paper. It allows you to see when the clay is perfectly burnished. Beautiful! The mica shift shows great even on raw clay. Now let's do the same thing for the green. Notice how in the burnishing process the wax paper shows whiter where it's not fully adhered to the clay. Thus, it's easier to see where you must insist with the burnishing. Time to cut the cores of our pattern. Use the smaller cutters for that. I chose to have part of my pieces with green in the center and part with red in the center. After rubbing Bacon Bond on the back, place the cut pieces smack dab in the center of the correspondingly shaped bases. Address any imperfections on the edges after you place them. Now let's get everything back in the oven again for 20 minutes. While the pieces are baking, let's make the golden lines. Get some gold clay on the same thickness as the red and green. I am using a long threaded rod for this. You can buy it at any home improvement store for just a few bucks. Next, I will shave the raised areas. And of course, burnish again. After which I cut lines about 1.5 millimeter wide using my rigid blade. Once my pieces are cooled off, I place a thin line of Bake & Bond on the outside of the cores. And then place my line of gold. Make sure the line is well butted against the core. Carefully join the ends to create a seamless line, which, considering the pattern, is very easy to do. Do that for all your pieces. Then do another pre-bake for 15 minutes. While the pieces are in the oven, let's work the backs. Using the same texture as for the fronts, create a mica shift with the same gold clay you used for the lines in the front. When you get your pieces out of the oven, take them off the baking surfaces and gently sand any edge imperfection. Cut approximate shapes of the backing pieces. Rub Bake & Bond on the back of the pieces, then place the gold mica shift sheet there. Rub with your thumb from the center outwards to eliminate potential air pockets. Use a roller at a 45 degrees angle on the edges to create a bevel. Then trim any excess clay. Do the same for all your pieces. Then bake again for 20 minutes. Now let's make some more mica shift sheets from both the red and the green polymer clay. Out of the new mica shift sheets, cut strips about 1 mm wider than the empty area on the pieces. Rub Bake & Bond on those areas. And then place the strips on the edges of the pieces, gently manipulating them in place. Of course, use green on red cord pieces and red on green cord pieces. Proceed the same as you did with the gold backing to create a bevel on the edges. Then bake everything at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 minutes. Once the pieces are cooled off, sand with increasing grits 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, and then buff. This is what I obtained. Now I need to put some findings on them. As all my pieces are pretty showy, I will choose a simple way to put them together so they don't look like too much. I used Christmassy colors and I have gold in there, so obviously I will use gold colored findings. For the pendant and one set of the earrings, pinch bails look like they would be the best choice. For the pinch bails, I first drill some holes for the pins of the bail to avoid small cracks in the clay. When it comes to the earrings, I discovered that attaching the pinch bails to the ear wires first makes things much easier. All that is left is to gently open the pinch bail, then set it in place with the pins in the previously drilled holes and pinch. For the other two sets of earrings, I will use ice screws, and on one some green agate beads. Now for the beads, I will use a very easy to make connector with a bead with bead caps between two looped ends. Of course, the eye screws need pre-drilled holes. Make sure you choose a drill bit that is the same thickness as the screws. Make sure you use glue. I use 2 parts Loctite epoxy glue when inserting the eye screws. Otherwise, they will slide out after a while. Do not use too much glue or it will pull at the insertion point. Now the only thing left to do is to connect the ear wires to the eye screws on one pair. And the ear wire to the connector bead and the earring on the other. I am using a jump ring to connect the connector bead to the earrings. And there you go. I should have made the brooch too. Oh well, happy claying!